And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace as we always do. We want to be that super connector for you, put you in touch with over 50 different show partners, 80 categories of consumer advocate content and advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. Save our hotline number. At some point, you may need it, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com, 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. We got a great lineup for you today. Nate Ginter in the house. You've heard him. He's our technology expert, Vine IT. We got the Tin Man coming in as well. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we're going to be kicking off with Michael Watkins, Principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, and the 401k Revival author of the book, The 401k Revival, a wealth of knowledge for all things investing. And we're going to talk about inflation and some of that good stuff here on the show as well. And we want to thank one of our sponsors here, Veteran Gutters, Brandon Porter and his team with Veteran Gutters. They do such a great job out here in the community. If you have gutters or you want to add gutters onto your building, your residential property, commercial property, let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Brandon Porter, Veteran Gutters, American veteran, American-made product. Support the country, America first. And also a couple of hot listings here for our real estate business. We like to feature our listings here on the program. I've got a property at 4302 North Nebraska Avenue. This property has a billboard. It's in Seminole Heights. It's commercial property, zone professional. So if you are a business owner, you're a business professional, if you got a billboard on site, you can advertise your business, and you have lots of parking, corner lot location, 9,000 square foot lot, and it's also great development opportunity in Seminole Heights. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we want to welcome back Michael Watkins. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, good to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in. So we're going to talk about your book today and talk a little bit about inflation and actively managing these 401k accounts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I wrote the book, The 401k Revival, simply because most people don't have a whole lot of knowledge when it comes to investing. And the word that I get when people come into my office is that managing their 401k account over the years has added a little bit of stress to their life. Mm-hmm. And so, I jokingly say it's almost like asking someone to manage their 401k is almost like asking them to represent themselves in court.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot
recipe for disaster.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, but So I would say, visit my website, the401krevival.com, and look at some of the videos there. We've got a lot of content that will help educate consumers on, how to better manage their 401k accounts. And Brandon, I'm a big fan of Howard Capital Management in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing this since 2016, and they just have a really, really good track record with it. And also on my website, listen to a podcast that I did. I have a podcast show called Retirement Tampa Bay. And Steve Albritton talks about the benefits of sidestepping market crashes. And I think the consumers would really enjoy listening to that. But overall, why I recommend the professionally managed accounts is the simplicity of it. Mm-hmm. And when you don't, people are busy living their life, trying to get ahead, raising a family. And when they're thrust into this position of trying to manage something as foreign as a 401k account, it really gets to be stressful. And so, like a lot of other things in life, like, using CPAs and lawyers for certain things, why not use a professional 401k manager for that? Yeah. And I have to say, it's starting to come into vogue all across America. and people are realizing that they don't have to go it alone. They have choices for it. So
it's important too, because if you try to do it on your own, you don't know what you don't know, and we see that in real estate too. People are thinking, oh well, it's a good market. I can try to put a sign in the yard or maybe market it on the internet myself, sell my own home. But there's a lot of different things. Like you might accept a certain loan type, but don't realize that. Oh, well, in the VA addendum, it says that you're responsible for repairs up to 1.5%. And then they get through the inspection, and all of a sudden, well, there's repairs that are over 1.5%. And then they say, well, I'm not paying $3,000, $5,000, whatever number it is, right? So that's just one example of many where people get into a position where they're over their head. They didn't realize it. And now you lose that contract. You're 60 days down the road. The market conditions change, whatever might have happened, right? You lose those buyers. So there's a lot of scenarios that play out with that, but I can just imagine with 401k, I mean, there's so much lingo to learn, ETFs, and all these different things to understand. Why not let the professional do it?
Exactly, and that was well said. People get over their head when they try to do something like this. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a challenging area, and it's just in general speaking too with retirement. It seems like a lot of people wait until it's too late. I know in your book you got chapter 11. It's entitled "It's Always Too Early." So tell us what you're referencing by that.
Yeah. So. In the financial services industry, we have a saying that says it's always too early to plan until it's too late. And, I don't know how we've gotten to this point as a society, Brandon, that, planning for your retirement hasn't really been a focus. Okay, most people just go to work, they work a job, they have a 401k account, they contribute to it, but they get no leadership. They get no guidance. And there's a lot going on to it. And by the way, it's a lot simpler than you think. And you referenced last time I was on about Tony Robbins mentioning that a postal worker on his salary retired with $1 million because of proper investments. Yep. So he obviously had, people guiding him and helping him to discipline. Exactly. Yep.
Compounding.
And so, another thing about, that is people are, I think, one of the biggest things that people are missing right now is orphaned 401ks. People are changing jobs on average of about 12 times over their lifetime right now.
Wow.
And so if, that's the case, you can imagine they've started a 401k somewhere, they've moved on. Sometimes new employers will accept these monies, but more often than not, they will not accept the monies. And so they become orphaned. And so HR people and business owners are scared to death about giving financial advice, so they just say, I'd just leave it where it is. And so what happens there, without making contributions to it, it's getting eroded by fees.
Right.
So one thing for consumers to remember, when you're separated from your employment with an employer, those funds are legally yours. You can roll them over into an IRA and, position them how you want. So I think that's something that, people really need to pay attention to.
Yeah. Terminology-wise, when you say roll over to an IRA, can you dive a little deeper on that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So what you're allowed to do is to take the funds from the 401k account and move them into an IRA, okay? And so at that point, you have many, many choices. And low-fee choices and things of that nature. So you can get your money working for you while you're still working, but not just in a 401k account. So that's what the rollover is.
And we're talking with Michael Watkins here, principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's the author of the 401k Revival book as well. Another great example of what we talk about is our local area expert contributors. Michael, you're local. You can meet with people locally. You can do a Zoom conference call, however you'd like to do that, and then people can actually get into a nice plan here.
Yeah, exactly. And, since the pandemic, I am doing a lot of Zoom meetings with people, a lot of conference calls, and I find that it's so much easier for us to exchange information and ideas virtually. And then, of course, we meet and greet and shake hands and press the laundry, so to speak. But So it's just a great way of, building that relationship, understanding what it is that the people want, to accomplish with their money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think people just look for, and if they haven't considered it yet, because so many people too, they work very hard. They may have some type of plan. And you think about how the financial system's changed over the years, right? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, I hear that you used to have a pension. Like a lot of employers would give you a pension. You retire, you get this stipend. You'd also have these matching programs. Companies are going to match you. Can you talk about a little bit about the evolution of how it used to be for, maybe our grandparents to how it is now? And it seems like there's not much contribution from many big employers because big business the politicians rather sold out to big business, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. So, retirement plans, pension plans did not come into being until right after World War II. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that. And so when all the men and women were coming back from overseas wars, America was rebuilding. We were, corporations were offering, pension plans, defined benefit plans to people saying that, hey, you come to work for us 20, 25, 30 years, we're going to send you off with a gold watch and, in a livable income in retirement. And that worked out great for my parents' generation. Yeah. But it backfired in the 70s, and it just became too expensive for corporations to do that. And we remember the downsizing in the 70s and the 80s of corporations farming stuff out overseas.
That's when it started.
That's when it started. And so they had to replace it with something. And they came up with the 401k plan, which I think is brilliant because it reduces the discipline to save on your own. But the real bugaboo with that is, people aren't, they don't have investment advice, investment knowledge. And so
the acumen, they're just missing that in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And so being thrust into that situation, having to pick your own investments, that's the biggest thing that I think that they missed on that one.
Yeah, and that goes back to point one. In your book, you talk about how you can actively manage. You have an account actively managed. Howard Capital has a great reputation, and that's one of the programs that you utilize.
Yeah, it is. And you can go to my website, the 401krevival.com, and see more about Vance Howard and Howard Capital and just how they do it. But in my estimation, and this is my personal opinion, they are really doing it the right way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so much confusion out there, especially now you introduce cryptocurrencies into this thing, and people I feel for that common lay person that just doesn't really have a knowledge. They get hooked up with the wrong advisor. They're compounding all these fees and points, and they think they're doing a good thing, but really, if you look back, there's a lot of things to be careful of out there, right, Michael?
Yeah, there is, and like I say in the book, there's a lot of financial mumbo jumbo that goes around, and I try to break things down and explain it in layman's terms to people because it's just it's Greek. They don't understand it, and it makes them uncomfortable. Yeah, and to be honest with you, this is not as easy as a two-piece puzzle, but it's not as difficult as some of the financial brochures and the ads you see on TV make it out to be. Right, it's simple math.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They try to overcomplicate it. Same thing you find in the medical industry, right? Oh, let's call a certain thing like these weird words, but it makes them look smarter to the common layperson, right?
Right.
You see that in the financial industry. You see it in a lot of different industries. So you said you have a holiday stocking stuffer for our listeners. Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah. So we don't have a whole lot of time here, but if you want to call me directly at 813-854-4400. I will go ahead and get out a copy of the 401k Revival to you, and hope
repeat that number.
813-854-4400, and I'll get a copy of the book out to you, and hope that you can bless somebody's life with it.
Nice, yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Thanks for doing that. Check them out online as well. The 401krevival.com. Got the podcast on the website too, so you can pick up some more knowledge there. Podcasts you mentioned was Retirement Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Social media presence?
We're kind of venturing into that a little bit, but I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and I have some people managing Twitter and Instagram for me, and I don't do a whole lot of that, but we do marketing there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thanks for the nuggets of advice, and thanks for being a true fiduciary out there. That's something we didn't have a lot of time to talk about, but fiduciary is a key aspect of your business.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank
Talk
you.
to you later. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum here on the program. The 10-man Ted. We got Fred Muth on the program. Later on, we got Nate Ginter as well, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT. And we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
The Consumer Quarterback Show will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Hey, Margie here with the Consumer Quarterback Show and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. If you're buying, selling, or investing, please give us a shot. We would love to help you. We are a top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay, and you can reach us at 813-750-0550. Call or text 813-750-0550. ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay, featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Top Agent Magazine, The Business Journal. We're looking for inventory. Attention sellers, we need more inventory to sell. If you're a seller on the fence thinking about selling your property, we want to hear from you. Free comparable market analysis. Check out consumerqb.com.
Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We help our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties by featuring them live on air. 80 outlets worldwide, thousands of listeners every day. So if you want your property listing amplified, reach out. We'd love to help you with that. We've got some hot property listings here in Tampa Bay. 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. This is a commercial listing. $1.8 million asking price on this one. 7 acres, zone C2. So great opportunity. I would think a hotel would go great here, a boutique hotel. Also an assisted living facility. Great opportunity right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Also, we've got 6806 Pearson Lane, 6 acres. If you're living in the city and you say, hey, I want to be out in the rural, I want to be out in a little bit more of a country environment, 6806 Pearson Lane. This is a great opportunity. You got a single family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,736 square feet, over 6 acres in Wesley Chapel. Of course, no HOA or CDD. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
The weather is sweet.
And I want to give a quick shout out to one of our show partners here, Ramin Kazami. If you're looking to get your home or business pressure washed, Heights Soft Wash, pressure washing. Ramin Kazami does a great job, did a great job on our real estate properties, and you can trust him to do a good job with your properties as well. Ramin Kazami, Heights Soft Wash, pressure washing company right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, we're going to the phone lines here. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Hey, Fred.
How you guys doing? Good to hear from you.
Excellent. Doing well. Blessed and highly favored, I like to say.
I think we're all doing well, but most of the world isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty scary place sometimes. Anyway, we're doing fantastic. I'm in the car, so you may hear a couple of horns blow. Boy, I just left South Tampa. It's amazing. They're tearing old houses out and building new houses right and left down there. I measured 3 cages this morning, and I'm going to measure 2 more tomorrow and 4 more on Monday, all in South Tampa.
Wow.
All brand new builds, and of course, the majority of them have pools going in, and they need pool cages. South Tampa is an amazing place right now.
It really
Value
is.
of that real estate down there, and obviously there's a lot going on because money's fairly inexpensive. The rates are low, and people are just taking advantage of that. And I'm sure you see that in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. You got unprecedented low inventory. You got challenges in the market as well. With folks trying to find that next home, that new home to move to, and it's causing a challenging situation. Sometimes people are canceling listings because they couldn't find that next home to move to. Fred,
that hurts you, and all the work you put into it to get the listing. And obviously, I'm familiar with that. And geez, it's heartbreaking to know that that's going on because the inventory is not available. In our business, we're still doing fantastic. I just talked about South Tampa and the new builds. There's a lot of other homeowners that are refinancing at the lower rates, and of course, they spend that money on the homes. Kitchen, bath, floors, screen room, cage. Sometimes the cage goes first, and I wrote 4 deals in the past 2 weeks based on refis. And generally when the money's flowing easy like that, the homeowner goes for all the options. And of course we talk about the options, the panoramic view on the rear, and a couple other things. But we're just knocking them dead, man. We are so busy. It's amazing. I wish we could get inventory. We speak about inventory. I wish we could get material inventory as quick as we'd like to, but that's still at a slow pace right now, and I'm not sure when that's going to change. Are you hearing anything on that on your end?
Yeah, we've got some of our partners involved in construction. I had a gentleman the other day I was talking about, one of my folks that are building spec homes, building the home and then kind of specking it out and having us do the marketing and sales for him. He had ordered trusses for the home. I think it was a single family home. He got his original quote at like $36,000, and he called and said, "Hey, can I have these delivered? I'm ready to go. We need them." And he said, "Yeah, I just need you to sign that CO, that PO, purchase order." He said, "Yeah, I already signed that last week or whatever it was." He says, "No, there's a new one." So lo and behold, the price went up from $36,000 up to like $43,000, I believe it was, for those same trusses.
Yeah, I see that. But the good news is it's probably readily available because it's made in this country.
Right.
And I'm hoping that there's no slowdown because of the transportation concern. Most of the trussing companies, I believe, they have their own truckers, their own drivers, so they have 100% control of that. So, but the pricing, we can't change the pricing. The pricing is just crazy. And in our case, obviously, we take on a job, and 3 months later we get a permit, and three months after that we build it, and we're building it at the prices that we quoted back then, and in some cases we're losing money. We're trying to figure a better plan on that one because you can't build too many cages and lose money. My concrete man, he recently he went forward with a couple jobs that he bid, and they were 6, 7, 8 months out, and he took 3 price increases in the meantime, and he basically poured a couple slabs for nothing, basically.
Wow.
But that's his nature. I mean, he's that kind of guy, But you can only do so much of that. Nice guys don't finish in the business world. But I'm not complaining. I'm saying everything is fantastic. I like what's going on as far as having this much business. But once again, I just wish we could get materials quicker than we do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a challenge for a lot of people, man. You're seeing it, and unfortunately, it's kind of like a football team that causes their own problem. You shoot yourself in the foot, you fumble the ball, or whatever it is. We're making mistakes from a government perspective that is causing this trickle down effect for a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of homeowners, and it's sad to see that it's an unforced error, so to speak. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, more with Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up as well, Nate Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, VineIT.com. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host of the program. And we'd like to thank our sponsors here, right here in beautiful Tampa Bay, the Bilmar Beach Resort. If you're looking for a local staycation place to go and hang out. And by the way, this time of year, they've got the Sanding Ovations, really cool sand castles and all types of cool creations. The official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, the Bilmar Beach Resort. 2 pools on site, live music, Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and restaurant. Great opportunity right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Go check them out. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a hot property listing here in Tampa Bay. As you know, we like to feature our listings live on air. 4214 North Nebraska Avenue. We got a dry cleaner for sale. So you're getting the real estate, corner lot, building, all of the equipment, and also the customer base, the goodwill and going concern of the customer base. 4214 North Nebraska Avenue, right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we're talking with Fred Muth here, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Fred is another great example of local area businesses that we'd love for you to support by supporting the show. Reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. All you have to do is call or text that line, 813-917-1894, and hit up consumerqb.com. consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors. And make sure you download our podcast and check out our YouTube channel, Spotify, iTunes podcast in case you missed the show. If you can't catch it, 4 o'clock drive time, 860 The Answer. Got a weekend show as well, Sunday mornings on 102.5 The Bone. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Where do we leave off, my friend?
Well, we were talking about the supply chain, and you were telling me about the truss rod, the trussing situation. One of the concerns that we're dealing with is there's a product that we use. It's a insulated foam core roof product, and it's made right here in Florida. And unfortunately, the aluminum skin that goes top and bottom, that is not readily available because that's imported. And where's our roof panel? Where is it? And we get the answer. I think the aluminum skin is still sitting out in the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
In a cargo box, and this is a constant concern. I sell a lot of these composite panel roofs, and I cannot ever give an honest answer as to how soon delivery can take place. And,
right.
That's hard for me to do. I've been a sales guy in this industry for a long time, and I started out in this business because I was a customer, and I was
right.
impressed with what went on in the industry. And everybody was very honest with me up front. But in today's world, you just cannot give an honest answer. You cannot give an answer on timing. And boy, that's, as a salesman, that's kind of hard to do. But, most people hear this regardless of what the product is. So they may have ordered furniture, and they understand now because the furniture salesman told them it's going to be April or May till the product arrives. So now when we tell them that we can't give a time frame on the construction, they somewhat understand, but it's just hard to operate like that, and I'm sure you can understand that being in your position as well.
Yeah, and some of the builders, from what I gather, they're not giving certain pricing. They're waiting on the specifics of the contracts. And I was even talking to a gentleman the other day. He said, the best way to do some of these deals is to do a cost plus percentage. So can you explain what that actually means in the construction world?
Well, it's funny. I just walked into the office, and hang on a second. Say hello, Diana. Say hello to the world on the radio.
Hello.
Diana keeps the glue. She keeps the lid on this company. She's excellent at what she does.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's awesome.
Anyway, I missed your question, if you don't mind.
Well, I was just saying how some of the contractors, they're going to a cost plus, so they'll take materials, cost, and then they'll add a percentage for essentially, their tradesmanship, their skill set, their however you want to deem that, but it's kind of cost plus basis. Isn't that what some contractors will do, especially if they're building a house?
Yes, that's common for that industry, cost plus, because basically, in most cases, their profit is typically going to be on their services and what they can provide. Materials, in a lot of cases, it's a gamble. You can't, who knows where you're going to be on the material price? If you're building a condominium or a house or whatever it is, what's your cost factor? Right now, it is what it is. Later on, it changes, and right. It's hard to put that into the contract. And we see that. But back to your example with the trussing, it's the same thing. You order the house at you're going to spend $340,000 on the house. By the time you move in, you're up to $425,000, $430,000 because materials, everything changed. What are you going to do? You budget for the lower number, but you pay the higher price.
Right. Yep. Exactly. I could see some contracts getting broken, issues, possibly even litigation if it's a bigger project. But yep, those are the challenges. We're talking with Fred Muth here, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Utilize him for all of your projects. We're talking about the screen rooms, the pool cages, patios, porches, screen them in. Pano view, they've got the panoramic view now as well. Fred, what's the best place for people to find you? How do you want people to connect with you?
Well, it's always best to call 813-960-7064. 813-960-7064. You could always check into our website at tampascreensandaluminum.com, but the majority of our calls still come through by phone, and we get calls from all over the place. Gosh, I think we're still taking 100 leads a week right now.
Lots of referrals from happy past clients. Fred,
the majority of our business is return, repeat, and referral.
Love it. All right, buddy. Good job. Appreciate you. And say hello to Diana and the team for us.
I sure will. Thank you. I got to stop over and see your new house.
All right. Awesome. Come and visit anytime. Bye-bye. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Nate Ginter in the house. Nathan Ginter, Chief Technology Officer, Vine IT, vineit.com. We're going to talk about Amazon outages. We're going to talk about a short history of the telephone industry as well. And a little bit of transhumanism is something I wanted to play a quick clip on. Interesting content coming up. How a lot of these tech companies are getting so big, so much money. They're putting microchips in people. Interesting stuff to talk about here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter. Consumer Quarterback Show page out there as well. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team. We got Nate Ginter in the house, Chief Technology Officer with Vine IT, vineit.com. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Nate, Topic number one, Amazon outage. Amazon Web Services briefly down in second outage this month, and that's from Data Center Dynamics.
Yes, so it was interesting. A lot of people may have noticed last week that, if you were going to access certain websites, even, doing things like Netflix, hopping on your PlayStation or Xbox, trying to do certain things, it just wasn't there. One of the big reason for this is that most of the things that we have come to know and love on the internet are hosted by one of two providers, either Microsoft's Azure or Amazon's Web Services. So when Amazon has a major outage where a cluster of their servers go down, that can have a ripple effect that affects so many other things. When you hear about, Amazon Web Services went down, you think, oh, well, maybe I couldn't order something. No, it can have major effects. And in this day and age when we're using it for even things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, everybody's using voice over IP phones now. Well, those phones have consoles that are actually controlled and routed through a cloud. Well, if they use Amazon's cloud and Amazon's cloud goes down, well, now your phones are out. So it can have really far-reaching, implications there.
Federal government too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, the government tenants, they usually actually have separated out. But that doesn't mean that a cascade in the chain doesn't affect things in a very odd way. So sometimes there might be databases that are stored in one place, so you might be able to get to a website, but then all of a sudden you go to look up your information and you're just sitting and spinning.
Oh, boy.
So there's a whole variety of things that can go wrong when that does. So people go, "What do you do?" I go, well, what do you do when the power goes out? You wait for somebody to turn it back on. It's really, unfortunately, no more to do than that.
Yeah, that's a scary situation to be in as well as a business owner. And, we talk a lot about hacking and phishing and all these different scams, a lot of holiday scams going on right now, too.
Right. And it's always nice, especially from a business perspective. In the old days when your credit card processing system went down, you would whip out that old chklunk thing. I worked at Service Merchandise. That dates me a little bit. Back in the day, it's kind of like a Sears, and we had those little old manual ways where you could take a check and just kind of keep it under the register. But a lot of places don't have manual backup processes. And, for the businesses that are fortunate enough to be able to do something like that, it's great. But you're correct. Boy, especially during the holiday season, it was a major issue. So, knock on wood that, they had another small outage recently, but it was a much shorter, much more contained thing. So I'm hoping that, a company as big as they are with the resources, and they actually lose money, massive amounts of money, when they have a major outage like that.
Yeah.
So
I would think so. And then if you're affecting Netflix, for example, some people might say, I'm going to cancel this thing or whatever, go back to the cable, go whatever. They might, a certain percentage.
I think a lot of people, I operate a service that provides IT services for business. And one of the things I've noticed I've been doing this almost 20 years now, businesses have become a little bit more tolerant and a little bit more understanding that, hey, when something is out of your control, right? It's just the cost of doing business in the modern world.
Yep.
Some of the stuff that I think we're going to get to here, there's some things that you just have to accept in a modern operating environment.
We're talking with Nate Ginter here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. VineIT.com is his company, and he's the Chief Technology Officer. If you need any technology services for your companies, highly recommend talking to him. He's a wealth of knowledge there. So let's talk about this. This is interesting. We teed this up. So you got a short history of the telephone industry and regulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, do you want to go to your clip first? We'll tie that in a little.
Play a clip here. Mm-hmm. All right. We got a clip from the War Room.
What we are seeing is the present state of technology rapidly accelerating towards complete unknowns. But if it's anything like that proposed by tech tycoons, the richest men in the world, if it's anything like their visions, or the technocratic corporate leaders, or the NGOs who are pushing this sort of thing from the World Economic Forum, then it will be completely out of our hands.
So it's interesting that was a short clip, but when you look at, so Time Magazine Person of the Year made a lot of fuss as well, of course, with the taxes, talking about the taxes. But I think why they chose him, and he's also over in Europe, I forgot what magazine it was over there, but Elon Musk, he's dabbling, he's getting into, and he says in the end of 22, by November 2022, we're going to have these microchips in the brain, basically. And I think the guise of this, it's under the guise of, we're going to help paraplegics, etc. So it's a very small percentage of the population. Same argument that they use with abortion when it comes to, she got raped, and that's why we need the abortion to still be legal. So anyways, scary. The problem is I see behind it with the corporations being so big, so powerful, monopolistic in a lot of ways. And we've kind of talked about that before with Amazon and some of these other companies. But what I see is and it also ties into the financial system, which we know has really been crazy lately with the printing of money. We're right at $30 trillion now as our deficit. It's a scary place to be.
I believe that it's something. It's scary, but the future is always scary. So something that's unknown. So Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. So you had a world that had no way to do rapid instant communication, and then all of a sudden it exists. You can talk to someone in an instant across the world.
Right.
Talk about something that, people always think the internet is this crazy revolution. I'm like, there's been a bunch that have been like that, actually. So, what ended up happening with that was, one company, AT&T, over the next 20 years built this total monopoly. And they got so big and so powerful, the government came in and said, we need to regulate you because you're that important to the infrastructure of society now.
Yep.
So I think what will happen is, the internet has been very, first of all, it is the internet as we know it is a military network. So everybody who currently uses the internet or has their products on there is ultimately under the jurisdiction of that. They can do what they want with it with regards to routing and all these things. And even if they decide to start charging for things that they're not doing now. So it's not a brand new technology that we don't have a lot of experience with. It's been around for a long time now. I think as these capabilities develop, you're going to see an actual push for regulating them more like a common utility and requiring certain things for privacy and for how they handle things, and maybe some
censorship.
There's some censorship things, some taxation. They have to be navigated very carefully because they're with anything that it got to a point where the government had things so regulated that you couldn't even have a device on your telephone to amplify the signal to make it louder for you if you couldn't hear because you were interfering with telecommunications equipment. So then somebody brought a court case, and that's how we decide things in this country. There's rules that are made, and then we refine them. It's not a perfect system, but very few things are. So I actually have a lot of hope that based on massive technological leaps that we've had in the past, that we will use iterative, regulation to refine them more to where we want them to be as a society. Now, as with any society, sometimes they make good choices, sometimes they make bad choices, but we're ultimately going to do it together as Americans, I think.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope you're right. What scares me about it is you look at how you mentioned how government stepped in with the phone industry, broke up the monopoly. Seems like that monopoly is very present today with the town square example, for Facebook, right? The town square. If I post something in there, I don't think masks are good, I don't think vaccines are good, what are they going to do? They're going to censor me. They're going to throttle down my likes and views and all that. They're going to kick president off of social media. So that I feel like that should have been done. And you look at the politicians and their connections now, and not only now, but just over the last 15, 20, 30 years or more, just the politicians that have sold out, the Pelosi's, and it happens on both sides, but you've got so much money at play now, it seems to me that there's more of a nefarious nature with these corporations and politicians.
I think that's a fair concern. The interesting thing is, the internet is an example of basically free market. There are some things that would seem to be monopolies. If you take a certain slice of a certain industry, it would seem to be a monopoly. If you look at IBM from like 1950 through 1980, you would say, oh my God, who's ever going to beat these guys? They sell 98% of computer equipment.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to do anything about that? Well, something else comes along. If you looked at Yahoo in 1995, you would go, oh my God, these guys have 80% of the web traffic. Nothing is ever going to come along that's going to stop these guys. Before Facebook, there was a thing called MySpace, which had the vast majority, everybody I knew who had social media at the time had a MySpace page. You would never thought anything was going to dethrone them, and then along comes Facebook.
That's the one I don't understand. Why did they lose so much market share and Facebook gain market share?
For the same reason that Google gained its market share, simpler interface. Simple interface, less ads.
Got it.
MySpace monetized every little inch and put a bunch of junk and had an interface that became very clunky, as they got purchased. And Facebook came along and they said, hey, we're simple, man, no ads. And then Even as they brought ads in, they're still very unobtrusive if you use Facebook on a computer or even the app.
Yeah, you just scroll past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so,
get it.
So they invented a better mousetrap.
Interesting. Okay. We're talking with Nate Ginter here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Always a fun conversation. I love to debate these things and talk about it. But transhumanism, putting microchips in people's brains. And then you have to also mention and talk about the Chinese Communist Party and their ties into our government now at unprecedented. And you talk about some of these events happening in Germany, Austria, some of these places with the lockdowns and mandates. That's when you add that into it, that's what really makes it compound and exponential, in my opinion.
So I would say as far as chips go, you can do whatever you want if it's voluntary. That's my feeling on it. And I say voluntary to the point where there can't be incentivization to have it. That when it comes to what people do with their body, I'm a big believer in personal choice, which might also apply to a couple of other topics that are going on right now.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's also the negative connotation too, because if you don't get the vaccine, for example, you can't vote, you can't go to your work, and therefore pay for your home, and then they want you to foreclose, and they want to buy your property from you.
Correct.
These hedge funds.
So I would say along with that, when it comes to politics, there are some very real concerns with those things. The transhumanist sort of chip technology, I am still waiting to see. It is one thing when they talk about having a chip to do motor control, and because there are certain areas of the brain that fire up and literally physically enlarge and have different things that fire that they can attach to that. Believe it or not, that's a lot simpler than something that, like we're thinking of, where I want to think about sending you a payment, Brandon, and now it has arrived. So,
yeah, well, that's the chip in the hand or the thumb.
Yes. So those things are there, but I'll tell you, 20 years ago, my mother was undergoing cancer treatment, and she had a Metaport installed that was literally a computer-controlled thing that gave her the exact right dosage of medication. So there's a lot of positive and that was 20 years ago. I don't even know what they have now. But there's a lot of very positive applications for that, pacemakers and these things. So there's already examples of transhumanist technology being used.
Right.
I do get very concerned when I see people being scared of the idea when it's already in place. I'm like, well, that's already here, so we would.
Well, what I think is what you're going to end up having at some point is you're going to have a human being 2.0, and the human being, me and you right now, can't compete with that 2.0 version. So then there's the social pressure, economic pressure, etc., to upgrade our system, so to speak.
I actually do think that something in that scenario is likely, but I would say that we are humanity 2.0. We have medical technologies, food technologies, things that the way that we use our phones, our computers, our laptops, we're already using to multiply labor. Imagine somebody coming to you who wants to work to you today that says, "I'm sorry, I don't do technology.
Yeah.
I am humanity 1.0. I am what they used to call a Luddite." You would not hire that person even if you liked them, because they just can't compete.
Yeah.
So
I get it. And then the other side of it, too, is the faith-based version of that, too. So, for me, I believe in Jesus Christ. I was brought up that way. You have the religious side. But a lot of these tech guys, these tech gurus, they got billions of dollars in their bank accounts. They think they're above it. They think they're going to fly to Mars and live their own colony. So I think that's another side of it, too. I get about 45 seconds back to you.
Sure. So I would say to that, I think so far the technology has done us innumerable good. It's saved more people than have ever existed, I believe, and it's enabled us to have some wonderful things in our life that we would not otherwise have. Like any technology, you have to be careful that you use it for the right things. My example is, hey, nuclear power is great. I don't particularly like nuclear weapons. So, there's always that thing where, as we do with anything, gasoline can be incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands. So, we try to, regulate things as best we can, as a common society, and use our best judgment, and hopefully we continue to choose the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. And VineIT.com. Check them out online. VineIT.com can help you in your business, and even home computers, personal computers as well. Just link up over the internet, the Zoom technology as well. Kind of troubleshoot any issues you might have. Always a pleasure, Nate. Thanks for coming in.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Michael Watkins as well, the 401k Revival. Another great show. I want to thank all of our team behind the scenes putting the show together, all of our listeners, our viewers out there. And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good for the community. And we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show.